Qualify the podcast. I'm your host, Hassan, here with the beautiful Christina Denae. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Fantastic. Another music podcast, not necessarily a podcast quickie, but we did need to get this out of the way just in time for the close of season 2. Be sure to like and subscribe. Leave your comments if you wish. You can find us on social media as well as all digital streaming platforms under QLAFD or Qualify the podcast. That being said, I have a fellow podcaster, as well as a songstress, songwriter, artist all the way around. Very, very creative with a beautiful voice.
Thank you.
See, I can speak from a different platform with you. But what I remember the most about this is that when I think we were introduced to each other,
yes.
It was kind of like the artistic process along the way. That was like a collective group.
Yes.
Which is funny. I got to watch the way I say that because I belonged to an art group called The Collective.
Right.
And that's not who I'm talking about.
Right.
However, shout out to The Collective.
Right.
That group of people was just like a melting pot of ideas. So somebody was always doing something. And my involvement with that would be artistically, but quieter media, and then get introduced to you and say, oh, this is Christina, she sings.
Yes.
All right, cool. So I'm along with the band anyway, so it doesn't matter what it is they're doing, but one day I just got to hear you. And even through the we'll just call it a talent show, although I don't think that was probably the best way to say it. We'll call it a showcase.
Right.
So even through the showcase, I heard you sing Killing Me Softly, the Lauryn Hill edition.
Oh, goodness.
And yeah,
Coffee House.
at
Yes.
Coffee House. Shout out to Coffee House. Shout out to Brad.
Right. Brad.
And when I heard that, what I noticed about you, and I probably never said this, but what I did notice about you is that you kind of close your eyes and trance out at that level, at least.
Yes.
At least at that level
I
during
tend
that
to do
era.
that. Yes.
But when you did, you weren't the same person. And I said, that's who you are.
Okay.
That's who you are. It's
Yeah.
not necessarily, we're an agent of ourselves. This is always something that we try to be, at least to, keep us out of trouble, out of jail, or just in the
Right.
good response to people.
Right.
I can't switch up, but that let me know that was something else that you were getting ready to open up. You just kind of channeled in. I thought that was nice. I thought it was nice to see.
Yes.
Because I don't have a lot of people that I can know personally and say, oh, wow, I've seen them perform before.
Yes.
And then when you did, I said, oh, well, that's what a performance looks like.
Yes.
Cool.
And, it's funny to touch in on that. I still do that till this day. I think it's just, not even I know with music for me, it's a genuine feel. I am just not someone like to just hop on stage and just tap dance. You know what I mean? It's a genuine, true expression that I've spent time with to cultivate, and nurture. So when I do allow for the masses, or a particular group of people to hear, I'm literally tapping in. I still tend to forget that I am performing, so I have to tell myself to open your eyes, but I'm just so connected with, with the message and how I want to get it out, that tends to happen. So, Singing started literally in the house, just a little crazy kid, just, got involved with music, in the love of music rather, very early. My background is very unique. I was not a kid who was in talent shows. My mama didn't have me singing in the church choir. Like, I have none of that. It was just, I connected with music emotionally and spiritually just at a very young age. And one of the artists that I gravitated to at a very young age was Lauryn Hill. Okay. I'm not sure when the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill was released. I forget, but I do remember being like young, like younger than 13 for sure, just understanding what she was saying, what she felt. And I was just like, man, like, I'm from Louisiana, so we don't listen to that, So for me,
Let's find out when that was.
yes, we need to, because I know I that will let me know how old I was
Or
when.
remind me how old I am.
Right, right, when it first came out. But yeah, that Lauryn Hill, that whole album just really resonated for sure.
It was 1998.
Okay.
If you look at now I remember that. If you look at the albums that were released in 1998, it gives me chills to think about what was happening at that time. And the miseducation of Lauryn Hill. Let me ask you a question. Your opinion. Is that a rap album or is that a R&B album?
It's both. Yeah, it's rap / R&B for sure. Like R&B, hip hop for sure. Because Lauren just doesn't, she don't sing. Like she's a spit about heart. Like I think singing, that's just something that just by way it comes naturally. But I think the roots of her, like she spit. So I say collectively it gave both. It definitely gave both.
Sure. But she won a Grammy in which area though? Best R&B album.
Yeah, of course they're gonna give her that.
Best R&B album.
But we know she with the Fugees. I mean, they don't know that part. They know that part, but they don't really highlight that part.
Well, I don't like to talk about the de-evolution of the group because it's crazy.
Right.
Because it happened with 2 to 3 other groups that were like, oh wow, man, y'all are probably really on your way.
Right.
And now all of a sudden this just becomes this infighting situation. But then again, if you didn't have that, you wouldn't have the miseducation of Lauryn Hill. You wouldn't have Lost Ones.
We actually had a music thing called The Box, and we had to pay for the video, but they would show you like a preview.
Video music box.
I just know it's called The Box. I looked it up on YouTube, and it's old, but I could not purchase it because I ain't had no money. So I would just get caught up in watching just a preview of it, and I saw Lauryn Hill. I was like, who is that? Like, just her naturally, and then I just tapped in, and I think was it a CD or was it? I think I had the CD for sure. But yeah, that CD, I played that to the end, to the very end, and that's how I pretty much.
So Lauryn Hill started you in terms of the inspiration of performing,
the substance of words, the message.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, like that, like because that's what I would do. Like before I would jam, I'm like, I'm reading the lyrics. I want to learn. I want to know what she's saying, But
Sure.
it confirmed. But I could just what she said in that whole album, just the interludes with the teacher, just speaking, talking to the kids. Just it was just like I felt like I was in a classroom.
It was a very captivating album.
Mm-hmm.
It really was. To me, it makes the most sense that she's not to be called a one-hit wonder.
No,
she is a one-album wonder though,
and I think
right.
it's gonna be like that. It ain't going nowhere.
Like there's like Craig David could play. I don't know if you know who Craig David is, but he's a British R&B artist. 2 singles that I can think of from American soil.
Right.
Okay, one of them is the "Fill Me In," and the other one is the "Monday." Right. I like that song. He looks too much like Drake, but I like that song. Right.
Right.
But what I'm saying is that we can really just kind of call him a one hit for American purposes, although he is a giant over there.
Right, I'm sure.
Like, he's still getting money at concerts and venues left and right. I use that by comparison because he just dropped a single, and then Lauryn Hill drops an album. She doesn't have to do another album. Legitimately does not have to do another one as long as the money's right. She doesn't have to.
Right. That's crazy.
I find that wonderful. She put together a piece of work that cannot be, in my humble opinion, improved on. Like the next thing she does, you can't compare it to that.
Right.
Because that took us through so much, individually.
Yes.
Like if you ever met her, you say, oh man, you don't know what this song did for me.
Yeah,
Right?
Exactly.
Same thing for Good Kid, Mad City. That's the start of understanding that there's a deeper meaning in the wording and the lyrical content of a song for you.
I listen to music now, and it's like nothing is wrong with the beat and the sound, but then you have to like extract all that and just really like, what are they really saying? You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not gonna lie, I jam, what I'm saying, to music, but because that's just what it is. It's just personal purposes, recreational, whatever, having a good old time. But for me, like when it comes into like really, want to tap into a message, like I won't do anything that I wouldn't really live out or speak out.
Yeah.
Like, just honestly, so I just feel like once the curtains close, after the tap dance is done, we really out here trying to, like find ourselves, be better, heal, grow, reconnect, you know what I mean? So, when my music is not, sad or somber, it's just literally talks about the trials and then ultimately the triumphs, you know what I mean? Like, you could make it, you know what I mean? And I just like to celebrate life and its life successes. That's just how I like to express myself in my music, like I said, we all fighting for something, and we all going through different things, but at the end of the day, like, what did it teach you, and when it has taught you, what are you going to now execute? What's the new thing that you're going to do?
So the two singles that you have, which one's the most recent?
The most recent is What's Love. That was released December 2020. Yeah.
Okay.
And that is basically, just talks about, in a sense, nobody can fill your cup. You know what I mean? Like, you have to do your own work, to be better, and to give the best of you. And sometimes, we go through life and we tend to not take accountability, for who we are and what we've been, and it's just kind of, the song just basically circling back around just self-love, you know what I mean? Make those crooked things straight, like dot those I's and cross those T's, before you, go out into something else or into someone else, you know what I mean? It's just very important to just be very grounded and, accountability. I think that's hard for people, but accountability actually, sets you free, when you don't tend to put yourself as a, defining factor per situation. Sometimes that healing process takes longer, so sometimes you got to break those things down and rebuild. So, what's love is like, what does, love mean to you, as far as within yourself, not necessarily what you've been through, because sometimes we tend to identify ourselves through the struggle and not the breakthrough.
So that's very introspective. Mm-hmm. But what got you to this point?
That, just, again, a lot of my music connects to just the things I've actually gone through, so you go through these different trials and triumphs in life where you just, life happens to you, you know what I mean, and you just have to sometimes sit back and just reflect and just redefine yourself. So a big part of me, self-preservation, is just extremely important. It's a lot of moving pieces that happens in our life, and we have to get back to just not being moved, being more grounded, being more sound and connected with our emotions, and just where we are, like in this moment, and just really being strategic about who you want to become, so that's really What's Love had a lot to do with just, my growth as an individual, as a mother, as a woman, and as definitely as an artist.
Because I had DeVille in the studio earlier, we were talking about Just Us, yes, which would be the second most recent single, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
On the heels of George Floyd, rest in peace, as well as others that we have lost along the way for police brutality, which I thought was very poignant. So for me, it's so weird. When I look at things, especially artistic pieces, because I'm a creator, I look at it like a football coach would watch a football game. Like
right.
that's, so I looked at it deeper. I'm looking at the studio, I'm looking at the backgrounds, I'm looking at the lighting, I'm saying, that shadow isn't my favorite. Like I'm looking at it that way.
Right.
However, overall, the work that was presented for that particular video production,
yes,
I got it. And that looked like a consultative execution, right?
Yes.
Collaborative.
It was definitely intended, because the song is really built on the message, like what's going on with our people as a whole. And I do think just visually we can get distracted and we forget what this really means.
Sure. So
we definitely wanted to keep it still profound but very simplistic, because it's a poem, I mean, yep, for the Black community that's just been under tumultuous times, and we just wanted to, I mean, it's not even about paying homage, but it's just in respect to George Floyd and just all the other people who lost their lives to, police brutality. It just made sense, and it was funny because it wasn't even intended to be a single nor a video. I just did it in the height of what was going on with George Floyd. It was just more like my love letter to him and just to everybody else who has succumbed to that. And the response was like, you need to make that a song, you know. And I was
Sure.
like, okay, you know. And that just turned, you know, because of course my brother DeVille, you know, he came in and did his piece. I mean, everything about that song was just a flow. Like, it wasn't forced. We knew exactly, because it was not only how the perspective from a black woman seeing that, but we also had to tie in the perspective of a black man, you know. So it just really was a very emotional, cohesive piece that just really came from the heart, because we all felt that in our homes, watching this on TV, just stuck, like, just seeing what's going on, So it just was it was a blessing to have that done. And shout out to my sister and my niece. They also were the movement, as far as, we had in word, but we also had in movement, just with them in the background. And it was just a family thing, It just really turned out just beautifully, like exactly how we wanted it to.
No, it's good stuff. Really look good. So it's like, it's hard for me to, now I can be, but it just depends on who's asking. It's hard for me to be upfront critical,
of course,
right, about it, because it's your people, and you're always like, I like to see my people doing stuff, right? And I'm not using that just because I know it's just more than the two of us talking here. I don't mean my people as in all black people, although that's great.
Right.
I'm talking about the people within my associative circle.
Yes.
Talking about the ones that we have history with. So when you see them coming up and or doing something or being consistent in what they're doing, it's always a proud moment, right? Whether or not I don't need to be involved in everything, for me to see that things are being done makes my heart beat. And of course, it came off of a message. So yeah, you should have. I've never really looked at you as a singer, though, just to be honest with you. I've looked at you more like a poet, because you actually do have poetry. And you and it's great that a poet can sing.
Right.
But it's also deeper than just being able to sing, because it's not as though you're singing everyone else's songs. You write. And I think songwriters are effectively poets.
Yeah.
Not to marginalize, I'm just saying there's a little bit more latitude than here's a song.
Right. Exactly.
Here's 8 lines and then there's a hook, and I can do your chorus if you want, but it's $500.
Right. Right.
It's different than that. So I've always really looked at you with a different eye, and a level of appreciation, because art is art, but poetry is difficult. And
I never looked at it like that. But yeah, like when it comes to my writing, it's not just rooted in just what the masses want to hear. Like, it really is time spent, like, I want to make sure, like, I express myself authentically and intentionally, and that's just how every song I've written was based off of that, so I appreciate that.
You're an independent artist, and these singles are available where?
They're available on all streaming platforms. Tidal, Apple Music, all your streamings is everywhere. Yes.
That's good. Okay. Now, you can look that up under
Christina Denae.
Okay.
Yes.
And
that was going to be simple too, because at one point I was going as Denae, but upon releasing my EP, back in December of 19, we didn't want to have that kind of issue, so we did a poll, and I mean, that is my name, it was like, well, Denae is cool, but Christina Denae has a nice feel, and it was easy to find, so I said, let me just go back to like what I know, So.
No, what I was going to ask you about, though, is in addition to the singing, you have another platform that you've started.
Yes.
Now, did this just start, or is it a reissuance?
No, it's just starting.
Okay.
I'm trying to find a better word to call podcast, because I just feel like that has been
Well, everyone has one.
I know, right? No, I know, and I'm like, everyone has one, but I don't want to lose the attention of, it's another podcast, like, and it's not that. It's called Christina's Corner, and basically it's just an extension of my thoughts. In my music. I mean, you have, you press play, you fast forward, but this time you can actually just sit there and just marinate in the message, just take it all in. And like I said, it's just an extension of my thoughts, just the things that I've learned, things that I'm learning now, and I want that to continue to be very spontaneous. I don't want it to be too scripted, because life is not scripted. You don't know what's ahead of you, so in each day progresses, or just per circumstance, situation, or I just want to tap into that, and it's more just enlighten, inspire, and encourage, so
Okay.
I'm just getting that started, and I'm looking forward to the growth of it, and just people tapping in and receiving.
I got you.
I'll be releasing visually and audibly, on both, just to kind of
Okay.
have a wide span of audience for sure. I'll be honest. Last year just really just put a huge like shift in just I'll say for me, I can't speak for everybody else,
Sure.
so I feel like I'm just kind of like it's like a rebirth, which is a good thing, like going back to that self-preservation. I just think like right now it's like it's kind of coinciding. It's like I'm creating, with my art, but I'm also creating new things within myself, so it is almost like a balance of the two. And that's why I haven't micromanaged it yet, because that's just literally what is going on. So when I think about my podcast that I'm creating, it's literally in the moment, these ahas, these epiphanies, these,
Yeah.
like what I'm dealing with, and that's why I feel like it can be more received,
Mm-hmm.
because again, it's not scripted. I know production wise, things have to get lined up, but right now that's just not what it is.
Yeah.
It's a real free flow. It's comfortable for me, and then it just also describes who I am as an artist. Even in my music. So I'm looking forward to, like I said, just to build, but just stay tuned.
Yeah.
As it develops, because I think everybody created a podcast.
Everybody.
No, I'm just
Everybody created one.
No, and it's good, but it's just what kind. Now
Sure.
you tapping into what kind.
Yeah.
Like what's the benefit?
Coca,
what's
Pepsi,
the
Dr. Pepper, Sprite.
right?
Whatever you
So
want.
I just laugh. Be like, oh, here she go. You got another podcast being born. But it's all jokes though. But in all seriousness, it is a platform,
Yeah.
like, as you said, to enlighten, encourage, and inspire. Everybody can go through the same thing, but we don't develop the same perspective.
Nope.
And I just think that what encouraged me is that they never heard your perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So that is really just the root and the love for that part of my expression.
If you're not going to want to sing all the time, but
Mm-hmm.
still want to communicate a message, then why not?
Yes, exactly.
Then why not? But
Right.
you're still reaching out to your community,
Oh,
to your
yeah.
constituency,
You're
to those
connected to the
interested party,
people.
connected to the people.
Yeah.
Now, I think that's a fantastic idea.
Yes,
I'm
thank you.
interested,
Yeah.
but I'm always interested. Again, this is trying not to be biased. But if you said you had a lawn service, I'd be like, all right, cool. So tell me more about it. And like whatever, like it's
Right.
fine, but you're doing it, so like I'm
Right.
with it. So
As of right now, I've connected it also with my music page.
okay,
Just so it can, both of what I'm doing can create this momentum and this build, collectively. Because it is a part of, who I am as an artist.
cool, very very cool. So singing, songwriting. I'm saying poetry. She doesn't have to say it. Singing, songwriting, poetry, as well as a platform.
Yes.
In order for you to continue your thoughts and your artistry. What else is on the horizon for you?
Currently, I'm working on my second EP. It's titled Identity Crisis. That is something that's near and dear to me, because as I was creating these different things, these different life lessons, definitely popped up, and I had a conversation trying to figure out the name of the project, the title of the project. Really was birthed, shout out to my producer Frank Mintz. We had a conversation trying to get that title going, and it just connected. Identity Crisis connected to me because in each song, it definitely illustrates how you may not know who you are and may connect yourself to something and then realize you have to redefine yourself. And like with Just Us, that identity crisis, with just being, black and burdened, how they view us as a people. That's an identity crisis in a sense. What's Love is identity crisis, because again, it comes in, not knowing who you are, but connecting yourself through, certain things or circumstances. It's just a plethora of different ways how you can. It's a crisis when you don't know who you are, and how that project transcends in each song. It's crucial to know who you are in that same sense, so I'm excited with that. That's pretty much going to be wrapping up real soon, and before the end of this year, I know for sure. I have a couple of songs I just recorded, something, it's titled Woman. That's the single that I'm working on now, and that just talks about the identity of a woman. It's just who she is and what she brings. So it's just it's going to be a very emotional piece, just because of just the different things that just happened throughout the year, and just me tapping into that. So
Okay.
I'm looking forward to that being done, and for the people to hear for sure.
Before I let you go, I got to put you in the hot seat.
Okay.
All right. 2 artists. 1 artist that you want to see live. I don't care if you've seen them live before or never seen them live at all. Okay.
Ooh.
And and I don't mean alive. I mean live performance. Right. They can be dead or alive.
Oh, wow.
And I'm opening up the whole
Right,
floor.
right.
The other artist is one you want to thank personally.
Ooh, wow. That's a man. This seat is hot. Like it is hot, hot. Artists that I would love to see in person. I'll be honest. I would love to see Kendrick Lamar. I just he is just phenomenal. On in music and also just how he goes about expression. Like he is he's a poet. That just to say the most. Like I just love his thought process, his perspective, and how he channels in, his music. So seeing him live would be like super dope, super dope.
Okay.
And an artist that I would like to thank, that I would thank personally, of course, Lauryn Hill.
I mean, I kind of figured that. But,
Yeah,
yeah.
of course. Like she is just. She's phenomenal. I mean, a lot of people have a lot of things to say, in regards over the years, but for like we talk about that project, the miseducation of Lauryn Hill that can just still stand the test of time. You can go back, and those words still penetrate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What she's talking about is just so concrete, and for me, that was just my tap into like what music is, what real music was. So if I had the opportunity to thank Lauryn Hill, it would definitely it would be an awesome experience.
Cool. Oh, well, Sade live, no matter what.
I heard that. Yes.
Yeah, period. That never changes. It doesn't matter what.
Right.
And the DMX would be the one that I want to thank.
Oh.
He's at the forefront of my mind right now a lot.
Yeah.
And I found myself talking about him a lot more recently since his passing. But it would be him. There's probably a whole bunch of other rappers that I could, but I probably have already. When I really think about it, just
Right.
because of the scene and the area and the places that we've been.
Exactly.
And as well as I'm sure you've run and rubbed elbows with a couple of other artists too. So I'm not a recording artist. I don't have any idealistic. This is the type of person I've patterned myself from. Right.
Right.
I respectfully understand why you did.
Right.
If I was in the same arena,
Right.
I probably would have them and say, okay, well, this is the person who made me want to actually start doing this.
Exactly.
That I don't have. But there were a few others before that I literally just, hey, look, I need to shake your hand. Like, thank you.
Yes.
Because we had been there. And I don't know if that even matters to artists at some level, because they made the music for them to get out of this thing that they were in. There's catharsis in that. There's therapy in the release of writing and journaling, and then also producing a work of art.
I think they would, because I think they'll realize that, wow, like they felt that too.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
The you're not alone theory.
yeah. I think that if an artist is sincere about what they want to say, and a mass of people can receive it genuinely and wholeheartedly, I think they definitely would connect with that.
Well, if I catch another one who made something that is actually here,
Right.
on this plane,
yeah.
then I'll be sure to do that. I don't have reservations about it. I don't do celebrity shock or anything like that. Personally, I just like, oh, there he is,
Right.
or there she is.
Right.
And I'm not going to go jump over 5 people to do that.
No.
But if I catch you, I
That'd be
catch
cool.
you. Say, yeah, you're gonna be like, oh my God, you
Right.
don't understand. Like I don't do
Right.
that.
Right.
But I've fangirled out 1 or 2 times that I regret that
Oh.
wholeheartedly.
Okay.
Over the weirdest of people. And because I know them and everyone else, like, first of all, who is he and who the hell is that
Right.
that he's freaking out over?
And it's
But
so
whatever.
funny, like rest in peace to Michael Jackson. I literally came across a couple of videos of just seeing how, screaming, crying,
Yeah.
passing out.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, like that's beyond what your music has done to me. It's you.
That's
like,
impact. That's full on impact.
that is like,
know?
for to have that much power.
Yeah.
It spoke volumes though. Just
Sure.
to see his presence, just his artistry and just who he was, how it affected a mass of people, so
I agree.
I haven't had that experience yet.
You'll
One
get
day.
there. You'll get there. Well, listen, I won't hold you. I wanted to thank you for giving me some time so that
Thank
you can
you.
come through and actually speak about these things. And it was good to catch up with you too.
Yes, likewise. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Okay. So repeat your address of where people can find you.
All right. So you can find me on Instagram at Christina Denae Music. That's CHRISTINADENAE Music. All together. All my music is literally on all streaming platforms, and stay tuned for more to come.
Awesome. Again, you can find me on all streaming platforms, including Google Podcasts. So if you Google Qualified and or QLAFD, you'll be able to find me there. This episode will be released on YouTube as well. Till then, we'll catch you next time.